Hey YouTube, it's Tech Savvy Solution, and I'm here with an in-depth review on the HTC 8X. It's a Windows 8 phone, and it's available as either an unlocked international version or on AT&T and Verizon, CDMA version. So with AT&T and Verizon, this is an LTE capable device, so I just want to have you guys keep note of that. And before I begin diving into the review, I want to ask you guys to look at the video description below, because this will be another one of my notoriously long in-depth reviews. So I don't want you to stare at the screen for an hour or so. So be sure to check out the video description, because it has links to all the sections of the review, so you can jump to each one. Let's say you only want to see the camera part, or you only want to see me demo the phone, then you can jump to that section without having to watch the entire video. That's pretty cool. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what this phone is all about. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and show you some quick specs and a physical tour of the device. So regarding the screen, we have measured diagonally across 4.3 inches. It's a Super LCD screen too, and it's also covered by Gorilla Glass, or it's actually Gorilla Glass 2, so you won't have to really worry about putting a screen protector on it, because it's pretty impervious to scratches, or even if you drop it, it's less likely to crack, so that's pretty cool. Just staying on the front, we have our speaker grill right here, and then also speaker grill on the back. But the neat thing is about this one is that once you have a notification, or you plug in the phone, you have the LED notification light on top here. You'll see in a moment. There we go. So it's pretty cool that it's embedded in the speaker grill. So just thought that's something to note. And then also on the front, we have 3 buttons. We have the back start button and the search button. This one will take you to Bing search. This one will take you back or to the multitasking screen if you hold it. So let me go ahead and show you that. It's a pretty cool thing. And then search will take you to Bing search, but I'm going to show you that in just a moment. And then as for the sides, it's pretty plain on this side. There's nothing there's no buttons on there. But on the top, we do have our 3.5mm headphone jack, standard now, and our first microphone. Also on the top is our sleep/power or wake button. And then on this side, we have access to our micro SIM card. Doesn't use regular SIM, so you'll probably have to get either a new one or buy a SIM card cutter and such. It's pretty easy to do by yourself. And then also on the side, we have our volume rocker with buttons that are pretty tactile. I wish they were a little more responsive. It's kind of hard because it's totally flush with the system, but hey, that's what you get. And also your shortcut key to the camera, which I really like in Windows devices. If you, for example, lock your home screen and you go ahead and hold the camera button because you see a moment that you want to capture, it takes you straight to your camera. No hassles, so it's pretty cool. I also want to note that the buttons are made of this kind of tinted metal of sorts. It's almost the same color as the matte finish on here, but it's slightly different in that when angled in the right kind of light, you can see that the buttons are oh, this is where the button is, because it's a slightly different color. It's a really subtle accent that I think is well thought out. As for the bottom, we have our second microphone as well as our micro USB port. So you can go ahead and plug it in. Again, I showed you before, plug it in to either charge it or plug it into the computer and transfer files. On the back, we have our 8-megapixel camera with 1 flash, and then of course the HTC logo with AT&T and Beats audio equipped, the logo for that at least, and then the speaker grill as I mentioned before. So overall, it's a really slim package. We have the dimensions weighing in at something like 10.1 millimeters thin, so that's not too far off from what the iPhone has to offer. It's pretty nice, and when you hold it in the hand, I mean, you think that 4.3 inches for a screen is pretty large, but it's actually really comfortable to hold because the screen is tall instead of wide, so that's quite nice. And then of course the finish is just beautiful. The HTC comes in either California blue, which is what I'm having right now, or this lime green yellowish color, which is pretty spectacular as well, or red, and all 3 colors look great. There's also a limited gray edition for Verizon. It's the entire thing is gray, and then there's little accents right on the rim of the camera is like lime green, and then on the speaker grill is also lime green, so that also looks cool. It's like an executive employee like edition or something. Don't quote me on that, but you should look it up. Anyways, one more thing that I want to note about the screen is that it's 720 by 1080 pixels, and that makes for a 342 ppi, or pixel density. That's pretty cool. So if you go ahead and look closely, if I take you to, let's look at the weather, for instance. You can see that everything is really crisp. It's quite nice, and I mean, just, yeah, I have nothing to say about it. And it's not, doesn't have the pentile matrix like Samsung phones, so everything is like the pixels are, the subpixels are actually all represented, so that you have this really clean cut image, very clear and easy on the eye. As for what this is running on in terms of processors, we have a 1.5 gigahertz Crate processor, so a dual core. So it's pretty snappy, and I didn't really notice that much lag. Sometimes in the Facebook application there's lag, but I think that's just the application's flaw. Everything else is very fluid, as you'll see throughout the rest of this review. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on from specs onto the tile interface and the multitasking interface. Alright, so taking a look at the tile interface of Windows 8, you'll see that that is how you can arrange your applications. So Windows has this thing called Live Tiles, which is on one side of the tile it'll display a certain amount of information, or maybe the application name, but on the other side it'll show some other information about the app. So you just saw that these two tiles that flipped again. So on the front is the picture, and then I'm in Urbana right now, so I just looked at the weather, 43 degrees, and then I also have my application that's a news application called Weave, and it has a picture of one of the articles that is in preview for that application. So if I go ahead and click on that, it'll take me to the news application, but not the article that is showing on the live tile, which is a little disappointing, but at the same time it's not, you know, it's not too much of an issue for me. So that's pretty much what live tiles are. But in terms of just organizing your applications, you can go ahead and adjust the size of tiles. Some tiles have a small, medium, and large size. Others, like for example, I believe it's this application, only has two sizes, so small or medium. That's one thing to note. And then also you can go ahead and drag around your tiles and arrange them however you want on the screen. You could have it go like that. Whoops. And then have your applications loaded that way. Conversely, you can also unpin tiles and take them off your start screen. And then you have access to all of your applications by either swiping to the left or scrolling all the way down and pressing on the arrow button, or tapping on the arrow button. And then here you have a list of all your applications, and once you garner enough applications, you can go ahead and tap on the letter that is on the front of every category, and then you can tap on, okay, I only want the applications that start with K, or only the ones that start with C, and you can jump to your applications that way. So I just want to cover all the small nuances of the Windows platform. So for example, we have the status bar, where in the front, or just like when you look at it, you have your battery icon as well as the time. But then you're like, well, where are my signal bars, or like my Wi-Fi bars? I want to see the status of that. Just go ahead and either tap on just the status bar or tap and like drag down really quickly. Either one will pretty much work, and you'll see that I have bars for 4G, and my Wi-Fi is not connected right now. As for the multitasking interface, what you have to do is just long hold on the back button, and it'll take you to all of the recent applications that you have open, and then you can go ahead and jump to the application that you want to go to. Now, something that I was expecting to have but didn't have is the ability to just remove applications from the background. I'm trying to like swipe up to get rid of it. That would have been like that's like really reminiscent of the Palm HP cards. I don't know if you remember that. They ditched their phone and they're not developing it anymore, but you were able to just swipe up to get rid of it. But I wish we could do that. I wish we could do that with Windows, but unfortunately we cannot. And as always, tapping on this button, the home button, will take you to your start screen. As for the lock screen, we have a pretty simple interface. Now I have a screenshot of my calendar being displayed as my lock screen background. Unfortunately, you can't have like a calendar widget or a preview of your calendar like this being shown and updated as the day passes. As you can see, I'm filming at the 14th right now, but my screenshot still says the 11th. Obviously, it doesn't change, but I would like to see something like that maybe in the future updates. That's just my opinion. But it's a pretty simple interface. You have your time, your date, and then also your calendar, kind of like a quick notification of what you have coming up. I have to return my rental books at the bookstore because I'm done with the semester right now. So it has it displayed over there. And then you also have this like this little icon there where it shows you how many messages you have, or if you have text message, it'll also show you how many that you have. But the thing is, you cannot tap on that to open the application directly from the lock screen. You have to go ahead and swipe up the lock screen and get to your home screen and then tap on the application that you need to view the message for. Long pressing or long tapping on the start screen will go ahead and get you to this kind of voice command interface. So I should get out of that because they're not going to recognize it. But let's say you want to search for lyrics to Frank Sinatra by Cake. Or how about this? Tiny Tears, that's an easier thing to say. Search for lyrics for Tiny Tears.
Searching for lyrics for Tiny Tears.
And it'll go ahead and open up Bing Search and show you search results. Another thing that you can do is say, open Internet Explorer.
Starting Internet Explorer.
And then it'll go ahead and open whatever application that you have on here. So there are other voice commands. I'm not going to go into detail, but the interface is pretty similar to what you can find on like Siri or like Google. However, it's not as developed. So if you were to say, what's the weather like today?
Can't find that app.
It'll
Try saying open.
Oops. So it's not going to be as, I guess, responsive or intuitive in translating what you mean by what is the weather like today to searching what is the weather in Chicago or what is the weather in Urbana. So, or like search for weather in Chicago. So for example, I'll go ahead and like search that and I'll be able to come up with the weather in Chicago, but if I say like, oh, what's the weather like today, it's not going to like translate through. So search for weather in Chicago.
Searching for weather in Chicago.
And then you'll get the weather based on your search results. So again, it's not as developed, but it's getting there, and it's pretty useful if you don't have time to go like type in with two hands. If you're like running and you have one hand, I don't know, like carrying books or something, and you want to like search for weather really quickly, it's a pretty handy feature. And I think people would be disappointed to not have it than to have an underdeveloped version of it. And speaking of Bing Search, we have the search button over here, and that takes us to Bing Search. Hey, what do you know? So what we have in here is, first of all, you have your start screen. I'll go in depth on these two buttons in a minute, but on your start screen you have this cool image, and if you click on one of the boxes, it'll show you like a quick fact about the image, which is pretty neat. And then of course you can search the web and be like, tech-savvy solution. And it'll take you to your search results, and it organizes it based on the following categories. So web, what is near you, and I haven't allowed like local access yet, but the cool thing is they also organize by media, which they group as both images and videos. So it's nice. Go check out my videos. Thanks, guys. And then shopping. Of course, I don't have anything really for sale right now, but they have that category, and web again. Next, we also have, this loads up, top headlines, which is not related to what I just searched, but there was a shooting in Connecticut recently, which is very unfortunate. In an elementary school, like, come on. So, they have the top headlines, this being one of them. And then also things, the new movies in theaters, top videos, local deals, and such. Okay, so getting to these two buttons on the bottom, we have searching for music or using a vision search, which is like scanning barcodes. So if we go ahead and search for music, I'm going to go ahead and pull up something from, just something playing from YouTube or my iTunes library. Let's go ahead and listen to Frank Sinatra by Cake. And it'll go ahead and search for the music based on what it hears. And you can see that based on what it heard, it was able to identify the song. And then you can go ahead and search for it in the store. And once you get to the store, you have the options of, well, obviously viewing the songs in the album, the review of the album, and that's pretty much it. You can also play a preview, or get the Xbox Music Pass, which I'm not opting to get right now. So the next thing that we have on here is the vision search. So it'll go ahead and open up a camera-like interface, and you just basically get an item that has a barcode in it. So I'm going to go ahead and scan my water bottle. So once it actually scans the image that you're trying to, or the barcode that you're trying to scan, it'll go ahead and pull up web results for it. Oh god. Okay, so it was in my history. So the Dasani 20 ounce or 20 flow ounce water bottle, and then it'll search it for you so you can find where you want to buy one. Of course, you can just walk down the street and get it from a vending machine, but you know, if you ever needed to. And of course, the same type of organization of your search results. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at our web browser, or Internet Explorer. So right now I have my web page loaded up. It's Tech Savvy Solution Tech Bytes. I really recommend that you guys check it out. Not to totally promote my page or anything, but here it is. And let me just show you how quick the web browser loads. So my website has quite a bit of content, which isn't, you know, very easy to load very quickly, but you can see it's pretty snappy, and while it's still loading, you're able to go ahead and scroll, and it's pretty smooth as well. Pinch to zoom also works, double tap to zoom works as well. No, that was a pretty bad example. Let's go ahead and try again. And then you can go ahead and have the text wrap to the screen. That's a pretty neat feature. And then overall, like, you can see that when I'm pinching and zooming out and in, there's not that much lag. You'll see that there's a bit of choppiness when you try and pinch and zoom in and zoom out while it's still loading. But of course, you know, it's being really picky, and you'll see that in virtually all devices. So the dual core processor is doing a pretty good job in handling that. Also here is like, I guess, a sub menu. Whenever you see these three dots, that's an indication that there's something else underneath that you can pull up to see. So if I go to tabs, we have this kind of small graphic-like representation of what tabs are open. You have, like, for example, oops, so same one. You have example my YouTube page, which is also loaded up. And then my web page again. And then we also have access to recent pages that are open, and an option to delete your pages or your history. And it's in list format, of course. And then favorites, which is also in a list format. and then an option to add to your favorites, share the page, whether it be to messaging or your Google Mail or Gmail, or your social networks. Pin to start, so if I go ahead and select that, you have a snapshot of the web page that you bookmarked, and then if you tap on it, you have direct access to it. Of course, it reloads the page, so mine reloads in the mobile format, but I'm going to go back to desktop format on that one. Oh, I guess I have to reload that. Go ahead and do that. And then find on page. But how about let's go back to the home page of this. And go to, I guess you have to wait till the entire page loads before you can find anything. So we'll wait for it to load. Okay, and find on page. So I didn't review, but I posted a link to the review of the Galaxy camera. So I'm going to search for Galaxy, or for camera, press enter to find it. Go ahead and load for a little bit. And then it'll go ahead and find wherever camera is shown on the web page. So previous or next, you can see all the instances and where it appears. Tap on back. And then of course your settings, pretty standard. You have option to prefer either the mobile version of a website or the web version, like my web page has a mobile and desktop version, and then just pretty standard stuff for your advanced settings. And then one other thing that I want to note about the web page is that you can see that I have embedded YouTube videos. It looks like if you tap it, it'll just go ahead and play. But it's quite deceiving, is you'll tap it and then it'll just go straight to the player. Which is not too shabby. Actually, it's a pretty nice and simple interface. You have large buttons, and then you have the option to zoom in or zoom out slightly. You have this option in the iOS version of YouTube as well. But one thing they don't really like is you can't scrobble, or you can't scroll through the rest of the video. It's pretty inconvenient if you're trying to get to a specific part that you want to see. Like, my videos are super long, so I'd prefer to be able to just jump to a section. But what you have as an alternative is just skipping through parts by tapping on these buttons to go back, go forward. But it's kind of, outdated to have to do that. You should be able to, scrobble left and right. But anyways, that's something that I want to point out. The audio quality is fairly decent. Of course, it's Beats audio equipped, but the loudspeaker isn't too loud. You have settings from 0 up until 30, 30 being the loudest, of course. But the cool thing is, once you start adjusting the volume, you also have quick access to whether you want your phone to ring for notifications or stay silent. And then also, if you adjust in your settings that you want your phone to vibrate, you'll have the option to either vibrate and ring or just vibrate. Now, I'd like to see an option for all three, whether or not you choose vibrate in the settings. You actually have to go to the main settings app and choose, for ringtones and sound, either select vibrate off or on, and that's how you can get ring and vibrate. But if you go all the way down, or if you just tap it, then you only have the option to vibrate. I wish I could do ring and vibrate, or silent, or just a ring. Having, I don't see why it was that big of a deal to exclude that from the features, but that's just my 2 cents. And that pretty much wraps up what the website offers, or not website, but the Internet Explorer, the web browser that is shipped on this phone, what it offers. Okay, so we're going to move on to next thing on my list. Okay, so next I'm going to take a look at the phone interface. So I'm going to call my phone and show you what it looks like with an incoming phone call. So that's my computer calling this phone. And then here we have incoming call, and then you have the option to either answer it or ignore it. So here it is. And I'm going to turn off my computer volume so you don't hear the background noise. So we have the option to view our dial pad, put it on speakerphone, or mute it, or put it on hold, or add a call for conference calling. That's pretty much the standard interface. It's pretty smooth, really simple. As for the rest of the phone, hold up just one moment, we have access to either the history or a quick shortcut button to our voicemail. And then of course our contacts, which I'm not going to list because I have like actual personal contacts on there that I wouldn't want to just broadcast to the public. But you have that, and then also search if you want to search for a specific contact. And then settings as well. You have your phone number is displayed above, but again, don't want to really broadcast that out. But you have voicemail number, caller ID settings and such. So pretty basic stuff. And it's pretty simple for a good reason. And yeah, that's pretty much it about the phone interface on Windows 8. Let's go ahead and take a look at our mail interface. So I'm going to select my TechSavvy Solution Gmail account, and you can see that all of our messages are arranged in a list as such. And then on the bottom we have the option to either create a new message or select messages. You can also do the same thing just by tapping on the side. Or refresh, or search for messages. So let's go ahead and go through each of one of these one by one. Oh, I forgot you also have access to these folders, settings, if you want to link inboxes, if you have two different accounts, or if you want to add another email account. But let's go ahead and compose a message, and it'll show you the different features of this message composition feature. So again, you have two, and once you start typing, your contacts will pop up. So I'm not going to do that right now because, again, personal contacts, but it will. Or you can go ahead and tap the plus button and search from your contacts list to go ahead and send an email to. And obviously you have your subject, and then your signature is by default sent from my Windows phone, but you can change that. On the bottom, again, these buttons mean you should pull up and see what else you can toggle with the settings. But we have send, either attach anything that you have. If you go ahead and select that, you have choose like an album, or choose a picture, and that's pretty much all you can actually attach. I didn't have the option to search for like specific files that are not pictures to go ahead and attach. You can also close it, or you can speak. Now, yeah, there we go. That speak option is right here. And then priority, if you select that, it'll go ahead and flag your email as either being high, low, or normal priority, but that's just a visual flag for you to organize it by. And then show CC or blind copy, and have those options as well. So that's a pretty basic interface, and it's very simple, works well, it's fast. So one thing that I'm kind of disappointed is the lack of ability to attach files that are other than pictures, because you can do that on an Android phone, for example. Okay, next, if we go ahead and select an email, for example, we can either mark it as read or unread, set a flag, which is kind of the equivalent of starring. Sounds like you're going to flag it as spam or something, but if you have a category for it, I would assume that it means the same thing as starring in the Gmail app for Android. Just have like, oh, this is important email. But it's kind of like, I feel like I'm flagging it for spam, even though YouTube is not really spam. Or maybe it could be. So once you select the email, you can unflag it if you want. Or there's this thing called complete, which I'm guessing if you have an email that's supposed to be a task, like let's say on your Google Calendar, you set your notification to send you an email 10 minutes before the event is supposed to happen. It'll show up on your inbox, and then, once you've completed the event or completed the task or something, you just put a check mark by it. Again, it's just a little nuance there. And then you can also clear the flag, or even clear the check mark. It does the same thing. So sync you already know, and then search YouTube. They'll go ahead and show all the messages that have YouTube, which I have many. All my notifications go to this email. That's pretty much it about this menu. Go to settings later. But on here we have it organized by all the mail in your inbox, or everything that's just unread or flagged or urgent. And then again, if you remember the whole priority setting, it'll come up over here as urgent if you set it on high priority. And then if we go to settings, we have more options for Google Mail, which I call Google Mail 2. So we have sync settings, which you're allowed to adjust if you don't want your phone battery to completely die out. So you can see I'm pretty much on the last leg of it. I had to plug it into the charger and keep it going, but the battery lasts about, I'd say 16 hours, maybe less if you use it more, but you can definitely reduce your battery usage by adjusting these settings. And then of course you can select the content that you want to sync, the password and such. So that's just a quick look at this interface for mail. Next we have a calendar interface, and you can see that I have just this tile over here, which displays my most recent event that's coming up next, which is I have to return my books because the semester is over. But if you notice in these small tiles, I have notifications for my other events. However, that is not coming from the default calendar app that is loaded onto Windows 8. It's actually coming from this application called Calendar Plus, I think. Should just make sure. Yeah, Calendar Plus. You should search on the market. It's pretty cool, and it allows you to display application or live tiles or previews, whatever you want to call it, of your agenda. But I wish I could have that as the standard app. But anyways, we have this application here on the calendar, and you have the view to see your entire agenda in list view, or your to-do list, which you can add and edit. If I go ahead and say, I don't know, make YouTube video, and go ahead and put it as such, save, we have a to-do. And then of course we have the day view of it for recording session on Sunday actually. You can view the event, you can edit it, you can delete it. If we go ahead and edit it, you'll see that if we choose more details, we have reminder settings, and something to note, that you only have one reminder that you can set. With iOS you can set 2. With Android you can set 5. And I'm a person that likes to just keep track of what's going to happen like throughout the entire week or throughout the next 2 weeks, and have reminders as I go. So I'm like, oh, I have to work on this assignment, so I should probably get started on that, or like the day before, oh crap, I didn't do my assignment or whatever. But I'm like, oh man, I only have one notification for it, or one reminder, so that was kind of a complaint of mine. But the cool thing that you can have here is attendees, which is adding a contact of yours to an event, so you can link those two as one thing. And of course your notes on that as well. And then for the date, the Android calendar, I believe, just has this kind of like scrolling effect. Depends on which application you download, but this one, you don't have that visual pop-up calendar that you can just like see the date on the calendar and choose it. You actually have to scroll down, up and down like this. But it's a pretty nice interface, and it's nice that it shows you the day associated with the date so that you know what you're choosing. You can select done. That's pretty much it. On the bottom we have shortcuts, so we have new event, or just jump to the day, or your calendar view. So if you zoom in all the way up here, you can see that in very, very fine print we have print that is like, it says our entire event for that day. But Let me make sure this is still like that. Yeah, if you look shortly or closely, you can see that it's, I don't know if you can see with this camera, but it's not in the same language. It's not in English. I don't know why it's like that. I mean, it's really nice to have that detail. I can actually see fine print. I'm nearsighted, so it's great, but yeah, it displays in a different language. But if you go to Calendar Plus and you have that same view, let's go to the month view. Weekly agenda, wait, it's not right. There it is. If you look at here, it's all in English. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a glitch or something, but I just want to make note of that. But let's say we go ahead and look here. You can jump straight to the day. And then on the bottom, we normally have the tasks that are associated with the day, like the current day. On the 14th, I don't really have anything scheduled, so nothing shows up, but it will normally show up on any other day that you have tasks in. And of course, swiping up and down will allow you to jump between months. And that's pretty much it. You can't swipe left or right to do anything. And if we pull up and go to our settings, we have just an option for all of our calendars and such. You can choose the color that you want to represent. Red, but I like to keep it this kind of color. So yeah, this is just quick settings. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next application. Alright, so I'm gonna take a look at HTC Weather, or the HTC app just in general. As a live tile, it just shows the time, but once you click into it, it'll actually show you the weather, your stocks, news. And if you notice here, all it shows is the time for the live title. It actually, I mean, what would be nice to see is all the information like the weather or even news stories on this tile, or even if it has to be shown on the other side of the tile when it flips, that'd be just pretty nice to have. But, you know, that aside, we have our weather for location. Of course, you can add a location or choose my location if you don't know where you are. And when you click on the weather, you'll have this kind of like live preview, and if you hear the sound, kind of illustrates the kind of conditions. I mean, if you really want to know the conditions, you can just like step outside, but you know, it's a pretty cool effect, and it's nice to look at. It makes it fancy, and it's pretty cool. But what you can do is pin it to your start screen, and there you go, you have the weather here. So I guess that's a pretty cool it's a pretty good workaround to having it display in this live tile. But if you go ahead and click on that, it'll take you back to the forecast. Then here, you have the option to make the entire picture the background of this forecast. 24-hour forecast gives us this nice graph. You can scroll like that, just see what's going up or just going on for the rest of the day. We have temperature on the side, and then our quick forecast on the bottom. 4-day is the default view. And you can refresh or demo. Oh, that's pretty cool. We can see all of the presets for the backgrounds. Fonsa. So with the settings, we have, update when opened, or if you want to use your location, if you prefer Fahrenheit or Celsius, and sound effects. If you're in like a business meeting or something and you're checking the weather, you don't want to be the one that gets embarrassed about the sound of the clouds rolling through the skies and such. Go back to the hub, and let's take a look at the stocks. If we click on that, we get this kind of view, and it's pretty fancy. Just really nice aesthetics. I like the graphics. You can also edit it if you want to change the order in which they appear. or you can add. And then you have settings for the stocks. Next we have news, so CNN. Again, this article, again, is really tragic that just happened today. The shooting in the Connecticut elementary school in, I think, Newton? And then you can also, once you select the article, you can go ahead and blow it up, Newton, Connecticut, and have it display on the web page. Or you can pin it, not the article, but just, oh, actually, I think it is the article. Just, oh no, it's not that. It's, you just pin, just pin the news stories on there. Just the news app, not the actual individual story. So if you go there again, if you notice that when I tapped on an article, it showed that it was red, but you can also mark all as red. I wish you could undo that or something and mark all as unread, but yeah. Okay, and I think that's about it for the HTC Hub. Seen pretty much everything, and it's, you know, it's a nice application to have everything all in one place. If you go up, again, you can edit, but it's like edit the weather or edit the stocks. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Moving on to the Maps application. We're not using Google Maps, obviously. We're using Bing Maps. And it's a pretty cool, or not cool, but like pretty full-featured, I guess, interface. Right now I have loaded up directions from Chicago to LA if you want to drive there. So you click on that. You can search Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, and then just giving you an idea of how long it takes for it to load. And I'm connected to a Wi-Fi connection, so it takes a little bit of time, but it does get there. And if you notice, we have this map view, and then you can select a direction, and then it'll go ahead and adjust the graphic on the top to show you what it looks like on the map. And I believe once you start, if you tapped on that image, and you can go ahead and jump to one of the steps, and it'll bring up this interface again. You can also search for locations. Let's say, say Northwestern University. In celebration for this purple phone. The Northwestern colors. Okay, so Northwestern University. See if we can find it. There we go. We have Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. Tap on that, take you to a web search. So this is the exact address, drive, the phone number, neighborhood. So it tells you all about Northwestern University. Any apps about it. It's pretty cool. So you can pin it to your tile, or sorry, your homepage. So you have a place that, oh my gosh, I need to go to Northwestern. And you're there. So let's go ahead and go back to the Maps application, just show you another feature of this. So as you can see, right along here on these roads, you can see there's green on there. Wish I could find a different color to show you, but this is basically an indication of the traffic. So here we have some yellow. Okay, so you can hide traffic or show traffic, so when you're driving you can be like, oh my gosh, I should avoid this road and choose a different route. You can also toggle between aerial view or just the regular maps view. It's kind of like the terrain view that you have on Google Maps. But one thing that I want to note is even if you turn it off, if you zoom in far enough, it'll switch automatically to aerial view. and you can't really turn it off when you're in here. Yeah. So it's on no matter if you like it or not. And then also another thing, if you compare it to Google Maps, you don't have the 3D type of setting where you can see like the buildings pop up all fancy like that. You just have flat view. But I mean, I personally think it's, the 3D thing is kind of a novelty feature. I think having aerial view is good enough. You see the shadows, you know how tall the buildings are approximately, it's fine. So yeah, just wanted to note that. And of course you have a shortcut to your location. This whole scout thing is like things that are nearby to eat and drink. It's pretty cool. And then here you have additional settings. So again, settings for if you want your phone to have access to your current location or not. You can also download maps. Choose North and Central America, USA, Illinois. And like surprisingly, you can't choose the exact area that you want to download, but you just have like, you can download the entire state of Illinois, and that's about it. It takes just a little bit to download. A little bit of time. So I'm just gonna pause that. And then you can, of course, check for updates. And then delete your search history for your maps. And double tap works as well. Just keep on double tapping to zoom in. Yeah, it's what Maps has to offer on the Windows phone. It's a pretty good experience. I still prefer Google Maps, but Bing Maps does a pretty decent job as well. Next we have the Windows Market. And in here you have, again, like your categories. You can go to what's featured, HTC apps, the games, and this is like a menu for what you get when you start sliding over. And it organizes everything, like games, apps, music, podcasts, all in one store. So it's just kind of like the Google Play Store, but for Windows, but with not as many apps as the Google Play Store. So if we go ahead and search for an application, say MetroTube, that's one of the best YouTube apps out there for Windows Phone. I highly recommend that you check it out. There's a free version, or I downloaded the free version. I don't know why it's not showing up here, but it's a pretty cool application. So once you go ahead and tap it, then you have access to the details and the description first of all, and also reviews of it, screenshots, and then related apps. And if you tap on a screenshot, just go like that. You can save it to phone if you want, or you even set as a lock screen. Let's go back. So once you hit music, as I did before, it switches automatically to the Xbox Music Store. And again, you have your genres, Spotlight, Try Unlimited Music, which is their Xbox Music, their like live pass, which I'm not subscribing for. Just give you a quick look around the interface. Podcasts. Again, featured, top, new, genres. And notice every time I scroll, it's infinite scroll, so it's not going to like stop. It'll just go back to the first category that you started on. So let's go ahead and download an application. Let me show you what happens. So I'm going to go download LinkedIn. So I'm going to click install. And once it downloads, it'll take you straight to your application list. And then if you want to go and download something else, you have to go ahead and hit back to go and like continue quote unquote shopping. Whereas I think the Android App Store, you're allowed to just download it and then it'll say, oh, continue shopping, and you'll be like, yeah, of course, I want to continue downloading applications. So I wish that when it downloads it'll stay in the application, or just like have something on the top or something saying that, oh, it's downloading right now, and you can continue shopping, because it's kind of cumbersome to have to always go back to the market to re-download an application. It's just something small. But that's pretty much what you have with the market. It's a pretty simple interface, but it's growing from what it started out with in Windows 7. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some new apps that it has to offer. And again, the interface is really clean, it's smooth, and it's fast. It's everything that you'd want from a store if you're actually taking some time to access it and, you know, not donate, but like use your money to buy stuff. You want the store to be clean and simple like this. Alright, next I'm going to go ahead and show you around the new camera interface. It's actually really cool. One of the cool features is, first of all, if you have your phone in your pocket and you're strolling along and you see something that you really want to take a picture of really quickly, or if you're in the car or something and you're driving by something and you need to take a picture, oh my gosh. All you have to do is tap on the camera button, long hold it, or long tap it, I mean. Oops. Long tap it, it'll take you straight to the camera interface. And it's like really quick. It's like 2 seconds if you saw it. So you have that. And then before I start taking any pictures, I want to note that the yellowish tint that you see here is not representative of how it functions normally. I have fluorescent lights all over the place, so picture quality is going to be, or the white balance is going to be compromised. So just as a note before I start taking pictures. But once I do, all I have to do is just tap on the screen here, and it'll go ahead and focus on the object I want to take a picture on, and it'll snap a photo. And it takes really short amount of time to do that. Another way to take a picture is to actually use the physical camera button and go ahead and tap or hold halfway to focus, and then press all the way down to take the picture. It's really cool. So on the side here we have the option to switch to the video camera. And then it has like this gigantic timer that says how long your video is going to be. Or you can switch to the front-facing camera, and it's 2.1 megapixels. Pretty good. And then of course the option to toggle the flash. And then here we have something really cool. We have the options for Bing Vision, which you saw before in Bing Search, or the translator. Translator is so cool, but let me show you Bing Vision first. Go ahead and, oh, this doesn't have a barcode. Show you the barcode again for my water bottle. Yeah, you saw this before in the earlier part of the video, but just for the people, if they had just skipped to the camera part, I want to make sure that I got into this part of it. So basically, if you have a barcode that you want to scan, you can go ahead and put it under the Bing lens. But even cooler is the translator lens. So I have here, let me take my gum pack out of the way, a vocab sheet from German 101. And as you can see, let's go ahead and have some vocab in view. It'll go ahead and translate all of the words on the sheet. It's pretty cool. So let's say you're reading a German article, or you're in Germany and you see a sign and you don't know what it means. Then you can go ahead and turn on this translator lens, and it'll translate whatever text you have. And it's not perfect, obviously, but it's good for the quick sign. Let's say, Mitternacht am December. Can't see because of the phone, but Mitternacht am 31. December. Midnight on December 31st. It says December 31st, December, but it's actually Mitternacht, or midnight, on the 31st of December. There we go. No. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I mean, if you're just trying to get the gist of what something means in another language, you can. Let's go to a different part of the text. Or Das Silvester, New Year's. There we go. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then of course you can change the language. It doesn't have to be German to English. It could be English to Spanish, or even Chinese. And you have a pretty wide list. So if you go back to the camera, you can find more lenses. And here it takes you to a shop, or the Windows Market, where you can go ahead and download more lenses. Really, really liking that integration. So, having taken pictures, you can go ahead and swipe this way to take a look at your most recent photo, or just tap on the icon. Go take a look. I took a lot of pictures of my gum, as you can see, right? And of course, as you zoom all the way out, you can go ahead and have this kind of like photo reel look at it. This picture is pretty funny. If you watch The Sopranos, you could see there's a scene in one of the episodes. I think it's like season 2, episode 2 or something like that. But yeah, it's pretty funny. And I made cookies. So how about zooming in here? So if you go ahead and let's use this image. So I took a picture of my pack of gum, and the white balance is like not so hot. So what I can do is actually edit this photo, and it doesn't have that much options. It just has the option to either rotate it or crop it. If I crop it like this, you can go like that and do that. But in terms of fixing balance, it's all based on the auto fix that Windows has, or Windows 8 has. So you can't really like toggle the individual settings, but you just have this one button for the quick fix, and it fixes somewhat the white balance. I don't think it did too great of a job, but it's definitely better than what I had before. And then you can go ahead and save the new image. Now let's say you want to actually put it under different lenses. So the autocorrect or the autofix isn't enough for you. You want to make it look like vintage or something. You can go to Photo Enhancer, which is the application that comes preloaded on the HTC 8X. So I can go ahead and choose the picture that I took. Go back to, I believe it was this picture that was on autofix, but let's say we have another auto enhance, cinnamon, high contrast, sepia, overexposed, and such. Twilight. That actually looks pretty cool. So once you have that, you can go ahead and save it. That's pretty much all you can do with this application. You just have different lenses to view the photo as, or different preset settings for it. You can't really adjust the details, but it's a pretty quick way to fix up a photo that you want to quickly upload on Facebook or share on your website. And then your picture is saved. And you can find it in your gallery. Okay, next I'm going to show you the games, I think the Games Hub is what they call it, or just Xbox games, that category. No, not that, but this is where you have all your games organized in. So let's say here I have Wordament. Instead of like on an Android phone or even an iOS, when you download a game from the Windows Market, it does not show up under your app drawer. So it's not going to be cluttered with all of like the 15 games you may have downloaded. Instead, it's all going to be under this one application. So I've downloaded 5 games, and it's all under here. And it's categorized by either Xbox, if it's like an Xbox game, or any other game that is available on the Windows 8 platform. You also have, if you just scroll left and right, the categories, you have Xbox, your avatar. I'd like to think this is what I look like, but I don't. And you can go ahead and edit your avatar, just really quickly show you around. Sign in, and you have access to the clothes that you can dress your avatar with, or also if you want to change the features of the avatar, props you have to pay for, but with any other thing, there are free like headwear, free clothes, and if you want to buy more, you can go to the store. Say I want to change my shoes. like matrix boots on right now, but let's say I want to change it to like regular black boots. Then you can change it as such. And yeah, it's pretty much what you have with your avatar. And then the category after that would be, it's coming up. Just the Xbox categories, like Smart Glass, or Friends if you are into like playing Xbox, or if you have the Xbox system at home, you have that kind of integration and relationship between the phone and the system. And of course Spotlight games, Final Fantasy. And we're back at the collection. So it's just a pretty cool hub. You have everything in one place, and it's nice that Microsoft has Xbox on their side for people that like to game and like to keep updated with what is going on. They have that kind of integration with the phone. Next we have what's called Xbox Music. It's the music player for this phone, and all of the music again that you download will go into this application. And then not only do you have access to music, but just you also have videos, podcasts, and of course quick access to the store. Here we have the history of what you've listened to, so the recent. And then what's new or what you just recently added into your library. And then apps that use music, which is pretty cool. MetroTube, which isn't exactly music, but it's music related. Have a third-party application to play music. And of course, Xbox Music. And again, the Xbox Smart Glass, which is an association with the Xbox system. So if we go ahead and just tap on music, we'll see that you have songs that's, or artists that are organized like this. And again, if you tap on the letter, you can jump to K, jump to A. It's really quite quick. Too bad that they don't have that like quick scroll that they have on Android. I'll be making a lot of comparisons, as you've noticed probably, but it's pretty much what you have in terms of organization. You also have organization by albums, which is you have the same axis like that, the quick alphabetical order or categorizing of that, and then songs, same fashion, and then playlists. So with the playlist, you can only make new ones from the now playing list. Notice if I tap on this, you can do that, and then you can download the songs for offline, I'm guessing. But you cannot choose like a playlist. You can't say like, oh, add to a playlist and just make a playlist. You just have it added to the now playing list. So, I mean, like, you can save the now playing list as a playlist, but it's kind of like, wish I could, see the now playing list really easily, and it's kind of a really complicated way to make a playlist that I'm not really too big of a fan of. But anyways, once you start playing a song, let's go to, how about, trying to pick a cool song that I like. Dear Hoof is pretty cool. So you have, of course, Beats Audio. And then you have the option to have it as favorite, or shuffle, or repeat just one track. Sounds like Elmo singing. But then, of course, you can change it to a different track. I don't know why it's not changing. Oh, I see, because it's the now playing list. But if you were to go to, say, albums, unknown album, this is my track list for editions. Go to Dvorak, Symphony No. 9, you go ahead and skip it. It'll just go to the next song that's within the album. And then you can save albums as a playlist, But once you have that, let's go ahead and say Audition Music for 2013. Okay, let me go to playlists. We'll have this, but we have no option to add more songs to the playlist. So I find that a little disappointing. If it had that feature, this music application would be great, no problems. But I just think that it's lacking in some functions that are available on like the Android music application and Apple, and the iOS application. So that's pretty much just a quick look at the music application and the interface of it. And we're going to move on to the next thing on my list. So the next application that comes preloaded in HTC 8X and Windows Phone 8 is the alarm application. It's a pretty basic application. You have the option to just create as many alarms as you want. Say I want 12 a.m. No, 8 a.m. So we have that, and then we have the option to have it repeat, like Monday and Thursday. If I have classes at 9, I need to wake up at 8. Then we can also name the alarm. And then the sound is pretty much like what you have as your ringtones. You don't have the option to set like your song or like your favorite song from like your music library. You don't have the option to set it as your ringtone for this alarm. But that's pretty much what you have with it. Just you have those basic features and you can create as many alarms as you want. That's pretty much it. Quick toggles. So yeah, we're gonna move on. Okay, next we're going to take a look at this application called OneNote. Take a look at that. And you have access to a list of all your notes. They're called quick notes. So let's say something to do. And I have paper for my history class due tomorrow. You just make a quick note like that. Then the cool thing is you can also add a picture, so you can take it from your camera roll. You can add as many pictures as you'd like. So these are actual pictures of my term paper, believe it or not. So it's just a reminder that it's due, and then you can also add a voice note. Tech-savvy solution, your term paper is due tomorrow. And I do want to note that the audio quality isn't so great, so let me just play it back for you so you can have an idea of what it sounds like.
Your term paper is due tomorrow.
So it's really muffled, and I'm not, it's Beats audio equipped, but that doesn't mean that it's like Beats recording quality or whatever. It's surprisingly very unsatisfactory in terms of the quality of that, but it's just a voice note, so hey, what the heck. And then here we have like the option to add a to-do list, and then you can tap the check mark to say that hey, it's complete. So let me go ahead and add that onto this dialog. No, just like that here. There we go. And you have that check mark right here. So it's pretty cool. And of course you have the list, which is a shortcut for bullet points. And those are like pretty neat features of this application, just right on the top over there. But what you can also do is pin to start. So you have this list on here, and it's, it'll display the title of that list. And when you tap it, it takes you straight to the list, or straight to the note that you had made. if you just tap on the picture, it doesn't really let you like increase, like zoom in when you tap it, but you can always pinch to zoom to see a bigger image of it. And if we go back to the application, just keep on clicking on the wrong app. Okay, so once you get to the application, we have some further settings. So we go back to Quick Notes, and you can sync your notes with your Microsoft account. Select pages, either, well, I guess you only have the option to trash it. And then you can view sync status. It's just a log of your sync history. And that's pretty much what Quick Notes has to offer. Again, really simple interface, but it gets the job done. Alright, lastly, I have the settings of Windows 8. Normally people don't really go through the settings application, but I'd like to, just because I'd like to make some like comparisons between Windows 8 and iOS or Android, and just show you like all the features that are available on the Windows 8 device. So if we go to the first one, we have access to our ringtones and sounds, which just groups everything that has to do with sound on there. So we have, again, ringtone for either like a regular voice call or text or instant message. And then also like new email tone. You've seen this one before. But then the cool thing is you can also adjust the theme, which is like a system-wide setting. You can do this on Android, but it's not something that was quote-unquote official, really. You have to download themes from the market. But here we can choose the color that we want to be like the accent color. So recolor all of our tiles. We can choose the background to be light if we wanted to. We can actually choose, how about a less like popping color? I don't think that's even possible with this. How about, okay, we'll stick to amber and have it look like that. And if we go back, you can see that everything has changed. If you go to Wi-Fi, even if you look at the toggles, the color, because you had changed it to that theme, even the text, it's all that color. And again, you can see that the tiles have been changed. Everything that was like purple before is now amber. This remained purple just because it's from a third-party application, but here you can see that tiles are a different color now. If we go back to settings, we can go back to theme, and I'd like to change it back to what I have before, or what I had before, which is the indigo color. Change it back to the dark background. Here we have email and accounts, so, and I'm not going to really show my email, but if you add an account, you can see that you can add like a Facebook account, Twitter account, Hotmail, so on and so forth. And then on internet sharing, that's like the tethering, internet like tethering, but we're going to turn that one off. And then with the lock screen, you have the option to change your background. So add, for example, my calendar here, and it shows up in the background. Well, I can always change that. So let's say now it's the 14th, and I want like that highlighted box that was on the 11th, I want it to be at the 14th now. Go ahead and take another screenshot with my phone, which I'll do really quickly. Let's go to Calendar Plus, because it actually has the calendar descriptions in English. The original one doesn't. So, exam week starts. Okay, so I'm going to take a screenshot with my phone using power lock button and the Windows home button. Text that screenshot. Go back to our settings, and we choose lock screen, and then change photo. Screenshots, we'll choose this one. Say OK. You can see that my background is now the screenshot that I just took. Pretty cool. And then of course you can like choose which apps that you want to show the quick status, which is what you would see in the bottom here. Like I have 2 new emails. And then, like, there's no option to say, like, never timeout on the screen when it turns off after, like, continued inactivity. We have options of 30 seconds to 5 minutes, and I kind of feel like, well, I need more time with my phone. Like, if I'm showing pictures or something, or if I'm, like, viewing a web page and I'm reading something, you know, I'd like to have it, just for the screen to stay on and not just keep on turning off. But of course you can, either turn on or turn off your password. I don't have a password, so I don't know why. Don't know why it says, yeah, I don't know what it means. Okay, so must have accidentally turned it on. So here we have Wi-Fi. You've seen that, it's nothing special. Just connect to a network, toggle it on or off. Next, Bluetooth. And then tap and send is pretty cool because we have NFC on board on this device. If you have another NFC capable device, you can go ahead and share content just by tapping on it. You turn it off to save battery, which is what I'm doing. And then, of course, cellular information, I'm on AT&T. Location for maps. And then what's called a kids corner. It's pretty cool. It's pretty much how it sounds like. You have kids and they want to play with your phone, obviously. So you don't want them to access all of your information, like your emails, and just type random emails and stuff. So what you do is you want to, like, restrict the access that the kids have. So let's say games, you only want them to play Wordament. You don't want them to play Sudoku or poker for that matter. So you have that. Or music. Let's say you have some stuff that isn't really kid friendly and you only want them to hear your Dvorak and Brahms and other edition music of 2013. You select that. And then apps too. If you don't want them to get to your email app, you can just select, hey, I only want them to play with the calculator and take a look at my music app, and that's it. You can go ahead and do that and then go next. Or how about let's give them more apps. Dictionary would be good, no Facebook. Conversions, sure. Flashlight would be annoying, so let's go to HTC. Learn how to play the piano. Cool. Dictionary. Okay. So these are all the things that are restricted when you go to the kids corner. So once you're done setting it up, you can say finish, and then you access the kids corner, and it has a cool splash screen like that. And then up like that. It says have fun. When it's time to leave, just press your phone's power button. And you have these tiles too. I don't know if you can change the size, I guess not. But you have access to the piano application and everything that your parent had allowed you to have. And you can go listen to some music. This is good for a child. You should do it. Yeah, so that's pretty much a quick look at kids, the kids corner. So I'm gonna tap on the power button, tap it back on. Oh, and I have to enter my password. Okay, and there you go. It's kids corner. So after kids corner, we have battery savers. So let me unplug my phone, and it'll give me an alert soon that my battery is low, and it is pretty low. So battery saver turns on when it's low, and you can also say, hey, well, even if my battery is low, I don't care, I still want all of my email to sync and everything. You can turn that off if you wanted to, but it's basically it'll just minimize or reduce the amount of times that your email is syncing, or your brightness and such. It'll just do those small little settings to save whatever juice that you have left. And then when it's on, of course, you'll see the heart icon on the top. Probably seen throughout this video, battery life isn't the greatest on the phone. It's pretty average, but the cool thing about this is that it shows you an estimated amount of time left that your phone has. Now, I do have to say that the time estimate isn't always accurate. I had 2 hours left, and then after 10 minutes it says I had less than an hour left, and I'm like, what? So that's just one thing to note. You have advanced settings, want to turn on the battery saver, whether it be when the battery is low or until next charge, or always, which of course is not recommended if you want your stuff to sync and stuff. So yeah, let's quick look at battery saver. After that, you also have access to the phone storage, and I'm on the 8 gig model of this phone, and there's no way to expand your storage through micro SD card or otherwise, which is really unfortunate because you only have 8 gigs of stuff, or only 8 gigs of storage to play with. I definitely have more than 8 gigs. It's just too bad. But you do have cloud storage, which I haven't set up yet. It's like linked to your SkyDrive, so if you have stuff on there, you can like sync through a data connection. But for the people that don't have unlimited data connection like me, it's kind of like I wouldn't want to be streaming music like that. So aside from that, let's see, we have date and time. Obviously, that I don't need to go through that. Brightness, automatic. Keyboard, you can choose either English, or if you add keyboards, you have access to all these languages. Advanced. And then, let's see. Language and region, again, basic stuff. What's really cool is ease of access. With this, you have like disability settings, but what you can do is make the text size bigger. So like, let's say, here, that, and just go ahead and save that. Your entire like system text will change. And you know, for people that are farsighted or like they have trouble reading small text, it's really cool. It's really nice to have that option. In speech, of course, you change the language. Just quick settings for that. Find my phone, kind of like find my iPhone, but they can't really say iPhone because it's not an iPhone. Yep, pretty much set it up. And what it does is it'll save the location of your phone periodically, so that if you need to like access it and be like, well, I don't know where I last left it, you can check it on your computer and see where you had last left your phone. Phone updates, company apps. I'm not going to add an account. Feedback disabled. I'm not going to like randomly send messages to Microsoft. It's not that big of a deal, but I just want to turn it off. Of course, Beats Audio. If you plug in your headphones, you have it just turns on for that. Unfortunately, when you're just having it on an external speaker, it's not Beats Audio. It's just regular audio. And then attentive phone is the other cool feature. So the option I've selected is flip to mute ringer. So I'm going to call my phone again and just demonstrate what that feature looks like. Let's go back, call through my Gmail account. So, hold on, let me try that again. Okay, so you can hear my ringtone. And I'm in a meeting, so I'm just gonna suavely put it down. And you can see that it totally silenced the ringer. And there you go. It's a pretty cool way to be like, I'm just silencing my phone in style, rather than having to be like, I need to unlock my phone and like slide to silent or whatnot. So it's a pretty cool feature. Okay, and lastly, we have options for people with hearing aids, but I'm not going to go through that. If I slide over to the left, I have applications, background tasks. You can't really do anything with them. Oh, well, battery saver is on. You can't change these settings. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn off battery saver, because battery saver messes with those too. Turn it off. So background tasks, MetroTube, and you can say, or you can choose which applications you want to keep running in the background no matter what. Or you can block applications. Wish I could unblock this. Yeah, you just click on that and next time you open the application it'll start running in the background. And this is like a good way to manage your multitasking, but again, I wish that we'd have this kind of interface right when we long press the back button. If you just want to take or get rid of applications, just like swipe up, that's like so intuitive. I don't know why you wouldn't do that, but alas, that's how it works. And then let's go back. Applications. It's pretty much all you have, system and applications. So here again, all of your customizations, quote unquote, and here all of your tasks that are running in the background. Or if you were to go to, let's say, games, you have individual settings for that, wallet, office, and such. So that's pretty much a look at all of the settings that are available for Windows 8. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the wrap-up of this phone, what I think about it, final opinions, and everything. Okay, so my final words on this device and my final opinion on it is basically it's a really good all-around phone. However, it doesn't, it's lacking some things that I would like to see that I have in Android phones that I deem are kind of essential that I don't have on the Windows Phone 8. I'm going to be a little more specific as I go on in my little wrap-up here. So the things that I really like is in that it's physically a solid phone. Physically an all-around solid phone. And that the material is like top class. I mean, I wish my Android phone could actually, I wish I had this kind of build. Let me show you my Android phone right now. Provided this was made about a year before this phone, but I mean, it's just, material is just not the same, doesn't have that kind of matte finish, and it's just not as elegant as the Windows, the HTC 8X. And then another thing that I really like about this phone is, of course, the quick camera button shortcut. Just go ahead and then taking pictures takes a second. I mean, it's really nice, and you can also use the camera button as halfway to focus, all the way down to take a picture. That I really like, and I wish I could see that in more Android phones. And then also, call quality was great. Sound, when I plug in my headphones and start playing music, that's also really great. It has Beats audio equipped. It's really nice. And then everything is really smooth, and that's one thing that you can't always find in phones. Well, nowadays we have better specs, but take the web browser for example. It's just super smooth, and you're pinching and zooming on this website that has a lot of content, and it feels really good. And also the interface is very simple. We have something as complicated as, say, the market, but you have it in this really easy to look at interface. It's not overwhelming at all. The graphics are big, the text is big, and it's it's very user friendly. And that goes, it has that kind of layout for virtually all of its applications, and that's really a welcome unification that I don't think is very present in Android devices. Each application is very different, and its layout is very different. But here they try and keep the application the same. If I were to go to Amazing Music, see, it's the same type of flow interface, and everything is unified in that regard. Now on to the things that I'd like to see improved on the HTC 8X and Windows 8 in general is, first of all, the amount of applications on the market. Now, provided it doesn't have as long of a life as, or it didn't have as long of a life as it, as iOS or Android in terms of it started later than either of those two. Like Windows 7, I consider the start of this platform. Of course, it came out later than iOS and Android, and therefore that app development hasn't really been, hasn't really picked up as well, I guess, or there aren't as many applications. But like, take for example Google applications. That's a really big one. Google has said that they're going to stop making applications for Windows 8, so the ones that you see now are the ones that you're going to get, and the ones that you're going to have to live with. And like, let's say YouTube. You don't have a dedicated Google YouTube application, really. Like the one that you have from Microsoft Corporation, 3 stars. Facebook application is also 3 stars. There are a lot of problems. I know the Facebook for Android application isn't so hot, but this one is just, it's unacceptable, the quality of the applications. Fortunately, you have some nice third-party applications, like, I think it's called MetroTube that I had hinted at before. It's on here. MetroTube, that offers a really nice alternative to the lack of applications on the Windows market. But when you start trying to find substitutes for Android applications that are like pretty standard and like core applications on the Android platform, you're trying to find similar ones like that to Windows 8, you find ones that are kind of pretty much a ripoff, and the quality isn't so great. But aside from that, the store is fine. Now, another thing that I'd like to see is, particularly in email, when I want to attach an application, or when I want to attach a file, it's not always going to be a photo. Like, if I have an essay or something that I store it as a document and I download it onto my phone, and I need to send it to a professor or something, and I'm not at a computer, how am I supposed to attach that? I can't send it because, I can only attach photos. So, just in general, the lack of, like, the open system, the lack of flexibility is kind of, putting this platform at a disadvantage. Speaking of which, like, in terms of file browsers, or in terms of even, like, browsing music, I can't play, or I can't create playlists. Like, that's kind of, like, any person that listens to music would like to be able to create playlists on the go with their phone, not having to go through this complicated interface of, putting it as in a now playing list and then now creating it as a playlist. It's just kind of a cumbersome feat to create such a simple thing. So those are like my biggest gripes, but all in all, it's a really great all-around phone, great camera, and great materials. So if I had to rate this, I'd give this an 8 out of 10. It's really great. Never actually given a numerical rating in these in-depth reviews, but I think I'm going to start with this phone. So that's pretty much my last comments on this thing. It's a great phone, so please let me know what you think about the HTC 8X and Windows 8, or Windows Phone 8 in general. If you think it can compete against the likes of iOS and Android, sound off on the comments. But if you'd like to see more of this kind of in-depth stuff, please let me know. I really appreciate your feedback. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time on the next video review, tutorial, or news announcement. Thanks, guys.